So we're going to head in to look at the 4 different contingency theories to leadership. So contingency theories. You get Fiedler's contingency theory, Blanchard and Hershey's SLT, not Saturday Night Live, but situational leadership theory, Bob House's path goal, and Rumenjetten's normative decision model. So firstly, we're looking at Fiedler. So this was really one of the very first, maybe the most influential contingency theory that came around when we started looking at the environment. That's what contingency means. We're looking at the context, the situation. So Frederick Fiedler came up with a scoring survey that he called the LPC, which was the least preferred coworker. The least preferred coworker, if you can imagine such a survey. So the basic idea behind the least preferred coworker is that depending on whether or not you can like a person, even though you can't get along with them work-wise, tells a lot about you. So your thoughts and approaches to people that you don't like working with tells us something about you. So the approach is this. They ask people to think of a person who is their least preferred coworker, the person they least like to work with. And then you would rate this person in terms of how friendly, nice, cooperative, kind that person is. So think about that. You've been at work, you've been at school. Think of one person that you do not enjoy working with. Can you still say that this person is nice? If you say that this person is nice even though you don't like working with them, we would call that people-oriented. You would be a people-oriented person. If you would say that that person, you're not liking that person, we would say you're task-oriented. So this LPC tells us something about you even though you're evaluating somebody else. Fiedler said that this is really like a personality trait. You're either task-oriented or you're people-oriented, and that cannot change. So we would have to fit a task-oriented leader to some situations, some contingencies, and we would have to fit a people-oriented person to some situations or some contingencies. So you are not changing. It's the situations that would have to change according to who you are as a leader. So how do we figure out what kind of a leader we need, right? So that's what we're going to do on this slide. So it looks a little messy, a lot of columns and rows, but essentially over here on the right side, these are the styles, right? You can be a low LPC leader, meaning that you're task-oriented. You can be a high LPC leader, meaning that you are people-oriented. Let me just erase that so we can get it a little bit cleaner, right? So we're looking at the best style. Low LPC is the task-oriented, and then high LPC is the people-oriented. Low LPC, again, is the task-oriented person. Okay, so with that, how do we get there? We have the situation. We can either say that the situation is favorable, unfavorable, or medium, whatever that means, in between favorable and unfavorable. So the favorable matches up with the task. So if you have a favorable situation, you need a task person. So go all the way to column on the right to see that. If you have a medium situation, you would need a people person. And if you have an unfavorable, again, task leader. And how do you figure out what the situation is, right? So we start over here, we jump to over here, and now we're going to figure out the situation. So the first one is here, leader-subordinate relations. If the leader has good relationships, good friendships with the subordinate, good, that would put us in the favorable category, right? Poor would put us in the medium unfavorable. So the first one is, do you have good friendships? The second one is, do you have high authority? If you have high authority, it puts you on favorable over here. High as well here in the middle, right? High would put you over here, right? So high position power, low position power, low would put you in these categories. Okay, task structure. Is the task structured? Yes or no? So if the task is structured, yes, or nope, right? So if you have a situation where you have poor, let's do one example. As the fan is starting on my computer here, I think I'm talking too much. All right, here we go. Say you have poor leader relations, you have high position power, and you have a highly structured task. All of these three together would put you into medium favorable situation, and you need a people leader. So what if you have a task leader currently in this situation? Well, then you either have to change the situation or you have to change the person. Take the person out of the situation. You can't change the person. So you take the person out of the situation and put a people person in there. That's what Fiedler's contingency theory basically says. Next, we have SLT, the situational leadership theory. This is Blanchard and Hershey, and they were basically saying that depending on where the employee is in terms of their competency, as well as in terms of their commitment level, we should have different approaches as a leader. So there's 4 basic leadership styles. They are over here. You have directive, where you tell. You have coaching, where you ask questions and you're supportive. You have the even more supportive behaviors, where you leave it more to the employee, right? In coaching, you are more hands-on than you're in supporting. In supporting, you're there, but the employee gets to do more on their own. And in delegating, the employee gets to completely choose what they want to do. So basically, it goes from you telling them up here to them doing it completely by themselves. And these two basically say you are somewhat telling, but also the employee is doing on their own. So it's more collaboration than the 2 endpoints. So that's the recommended leadership style that we have for the SLT theory. So we are figuring out which leadership style to use based on the employee readiness. And we have either competency, how much knowledge, skills and abilities they have, and also their commitment level. So when an employee starts out with a job with an organization, they tend to be in a low competency situation because they're brand new to a job, and they tend to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, so they have high commitment level. So what it's basically saying is you should be telling them what to do. They're super excited, but you need to give them directions. So you are directing them. They have been on their job for a little while. They still don't have all the knowledge, skills, and abilities that they have. Now maybe commitment level is a little bit lower. It tends to be after you've been on the job a while. So now you really need to step in and coach and help and support the employees and let them make good decisions and help them get there. So be a great coach for them. And now we're starting to see competencies increasing to moderate to high. So they're starting to learn on the job. Commitment level might vary between low and high. So keep supporting that employee, keep being there for them when they need you. And eventually they will have reached a high competency level. They are hopefully highly committed now because they've been with the organization for a while. They feel good about where they're at in their development. And now you can leave it to them to make choices in terms of decisions on the job and how they go about doing the job and when they go about doing the job, ideally. So that is it for SLT. So we are going to end this audio. We just covered the Fiedler theory and SLT, and then we'll do the path goal theory and the normative decision-making model in the next video. See you there.